the necessity to label situations, people, and things ends up only limiting all they can be, and all the different ways or versions we can perceive them. In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu says, "The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The name that can be named is not the eternal name." That is, when we start categorizing things, we lose everything else. Because similar to the concept of zero, the capacity of creation of the universe also comes through nothingness, the cosmos for the Greeks. In the movie The Matrix, for example, there is always this play between reality and simulation, between the zeros and the ones, to compose all of that. It is seen by the decisions of the characters that can choose a path or another. But it is also seen in the characters themselves, such as Neo, that is an anagram for one, and the antagonist Cypher, that in Arabic means literally zero or nothing. Just like this world is composed of zeros and ones, the decisions of the characters are also based on zeros and ones. While the protagonist needs to learn to accept truth, that is, reality, the villain, on the other hand, rejects the truth and desires for ignorance. The hero gains power by accepting things as they are, and with this, he gains the capacity to do anything he wants in this reality as well, only because he was starting to believe. The villain, on the other hand, was always seeking for certainty. He never believed that Neo would be the one, and much less believed that he himself could change as well. He wanted things to go back as they once were, while Neo never actually gained his powers until he was able to stop looking into the future of becoming the one and look at the present in which he was living, that he was actually the one. That is, while Cypher wanted reality to be in a certain way, the only way to change reality was by accepting it first and changing it with the flow, let's say. Cypher was looking to categorize reality, while Neo learned to not to do that. And when he achieved these, he was finally able to do anything. Just like Socrates, who was said to be the wisest of all men, because once he knew nothing, he could learn anything. And his potentiality was certainly bigger than anything already learned, the capacity to learn. For me, this seems very similar to Martin Heidegger's philosophy or Sartre's philosophy on being and nothingness itself, that says how when things are, they also are not. In this case, by giving things a name or a category, you exclude them from everything else, from every other category. When you determine something or some situation, for example, you can lose all its potential to be anything else. That is, by determining it as an end, you lack perceiving it as something that is coming to be, seeing it as a tiny deviation or a path that has not yet been fully fulfilled yet. When you determine something or some situation, for example, you can lose all its potential to be anything else. That is, by determining it as an end, you lack perceiving it as something that is coming to be, seeing it as a tiny deviation or a path that has not yet been fully fulfilled yet. It is literally the way. In this case, the way to something else, to something bigger, or to something better even. Just like the ox that knows its path and the herder begins to become one with it, the same happens to man that follows their minds or intuitions and the body obeys. It's a path of non-resistance. As Marcus Aurelius said, what stands in the way becomes the way. It's distancing yourself from the past and previous determinations so you can accept the present at hand and then build or move towards a future that can become. If you stay stuck thinking about how things you have set for yourself haven't become that which you wanted, You can lose this grasp of how things have unraveled and what can you do with these which was given to you. The same happens when you are stuck in an imaginative world that you are striving for in the future. Sometimes doing this can make you ignore the possibilities that lie around you that could help you achieve this future you so much desire, in a much easier way, without so much resistance. For example, focusing on past failures, constantly dwelling on missed opportunities or past mistakes are things that can prevent us from recognizing and utilizing what we already have to a future success, or even a different path that we didn't even know we wanted and that could be even better for us. This fixation and obsession on a specific vision of life that we want makes us overlook these alternative paths or just to see everything as the path. Back to Taoism, there is also this story about a herder and his ox. The herder realizes that one day his ox is missing, and with this he sets out to search for it. Wandering through hills and forests, uncertain of where to begin, as he roams, he discovers hoofprints in the dust. Faint yet undeniable signs that the ox has passed this way. Encouraged by these, he follows the tracks, and before long he catches a glimpse of the ox, half hidden among trees and mist. With great effort he approaches and seizes it, but the ox resists, wild and untamed, refusing to be led. Then, struggling against its strength, the herder eventually and slowly begins to tame it, guiding it with a rope, though it still pulls and strays. Over time the ox yields, and at last the herder rides it home at peace, moving as one with the animal. As he grows accustomed to the journey, he forgets about the ox altogether, walking alone, no longer needing to search or to struggle or to tame the ox. Soon, even he himself fades as well, and the distraction between herder and the ox disappears entirely. So this is a very interesting story. Once at the beginning, the herder is lost, looking for something, but not really knowing what it is. That is the starting point of ignorance, the dissatisfaction or nothingness even. The ox then stands for the mind or the body, full of cravings, full of distractions and waywards. The finding of the footprints of the ox signifies the earlier realization that there is something to be discovered there, something deeper to be found. And capturing the ox becomes his struggle of discipline, where the mind rebels to be free like how our thoughts and desires or distractions tend to do. The ox then is domesticated by the herder, just like a person needs or should have mastered over one's own mind, emotions, and desires, balancing them rather than being ruled by them. Then, when riding the ox home, we see this stage where discipline comes naturally to the tamer as he rides it smoothly and even becomes one with it. Once the ox disappears, the struggle is complete. The self does not struggle with itself anymore. And with this, even the self eventually disappears as well, showing us that enlightenment is not about controlling or forcing, but rather about dissolving the illusion of its division. It shows this lack of resistance, not only of the mind for the body, and vice versa, but also from the self to everything around it that is its present moment. Only by accepting it, only by emerging on it, the man was able to tame its animal, and with this become one with it. And this is also very similar to the anime Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, where the people in that universe live under an alchemical rule. One is all, and all is one, as if everything was connected to itself in a way or another. With these, the characters can transmute matter in almost anything or in any shape they want. Although there are limits to this transmutation, this idea is very similar to that of The Matrix, where Neo also learns to use the codes of reality in his favor. In Fullmetal Alchemist, the heroes are set to regain their bodies, but are constantly having these ghosts swapped by moral decisions, such as using a stone that was made from human lives or not. Because of that, they are always searching for the truth, always searching for new methods of doing things. And at the end, the villain, which was always planning, always controlling, always trying since the very first episode to turn his ideals and his goals in reality, not caring for the cost or to who stands in his way, he eventually loses. He loses because of the protagonist, who was always searching for the truth, and who at the end of the anime even sacrifices his own truth, this knowing way of accessing this truth and therefore its capacity to transmutation, and ends up seeking truth in different ways. He learns by God or by truth itself that the laws that govern his universe are not to be accessed only in a specific way. Being the law of the universe itself, it could actually be utilized in many different ways. And because of that, the enemy ends up with this protagonist and also his brother seeking for the truth in their own ways. In conclusion, to accept the present is to unlock the future. Any attempts to categorize or label situations, people, and things limits their potential and our perceptions of them by a single frame. When we cease to categorize, we open ourselves to a world of infinite possibilities, as seen in these examples of Neo in The Matrix, the herder in the Taoist story, and the heroes in Fullmetal Alchemist over its villain. All of these characters achieve power by embracing the present and relinquishing their attempts to control or define reality. As I said in my Demon Slayer analysis, the villains tend to be exactly those that try to do just that, those who cling to a certainty and resist the truth, like Cypher and the homunculus in Fullmetal Alchemist, are those who ultimately fail. Their obsession with control and a fixed vision of reality blinds them to those alternative paths and possibilities. True power and enlightenment comes from accepting the present, embracing uncertainty, and recognizing that reality is fluid and ever-changing, so to speak. That is, only by accepting the present you can build and unfold the future. Now, if you're interested in an existential analysis of yourself and your perceptions of time, you can click the link in the description and book a consultation session with me. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, share with others, write a comment below, and see you in the future. And goodbye.